And now, if you would, let me introduce you to my world record lake trout. Hey folks, do me a favor, practice CPR, catch, photo, and release. The future of fishing is truly in your hands. There, on your left, you can almost see it. One of the most magnificent sights on the planet, Lake Athabasca, nestled just below the 60th parallel. Lake Athabasca hasn't changed in nearly 1,000 years with its pristine shorelines, pure crystal clear water you can actually drink, and countless fish. Boy, has she got fish that is for everyone willing to travel to Otherside River Lodge. From the magnificent world-class northern pike that prowl these waters to the oldest and biggest lakers on the globe, Athabasca has it all. Otherside River Lodge caters to the true sportsman seeking an all-American plan guided package with 3 incredible meals a day and memories you won't find anywhere else. Records have been broken by guests at Otherside River Lodge in the past. You could be next. Book your dream trip of a lifetime to Otherside River Lodge, where fishing dreams do come true. Call Cliff or Stella toll-free at 1-877-922-0957. Hi everybody, and welcome to tonight's show. We're going to have just a little bit of fun. You know, fishing is a challenge no matter where you go, how you do it, who you choose to fish with. There's always elements, there's always something about the event that makes it a challenge. And one of those challenges is choosing the right lure. Yes, choosing the right lure. As simple as that sounds, it's a big deal. And how you deal with it can make the difference between success or failure. And there's no such thing in my boat as a fish being caught that wasn't caught on a lure. And that's what we're going to talk about tonight. We're going to talk about lures, and especially a certain kind of lure. We're going to focus on jerkbaits. And I'm really kind of excited about tonight because Kyle Savino is going to be with us tonight, and I'm going to introduce you to his company and the baits he's making. And we're going to really get down to dirty on jerkbaits. It's something I've been wanting to do for a long time. So with that being said, hold on tight to your rod because we are about to go fishing. Oh, look at that. Oh, big fish. Big fish.
This side over here?
That is a 50 fish. Folks, you're seeing it right now. My 100th just came in the net at Witchbait Camp. Holy smokes, Rocky. He ate that thing.
The summer sun never sets upon the Alaskan pike of the Unoko, in the heart of breathtaking Alaska. Evenings will be shared reliving the battles of monster pike. The Midnight Sun Trophy Pike Hunt is on, aboard the 67-foot luxury houseboat, and you're in command. If you're not, you should be. Contact the Midnight Sun Trophy Pike Adventures by calling 800-440-7453 or email them at mstpa50@gmail.com.
Hey folks, this is how you can interact with the show tonight. You can definitely get a hold of us on the private message side of the Fish and Sticks Facebook page. If you message me on there, I'll be able to see it. Phones are going to be tied up tonight. You won't be able to get through on the phones, so I apologize for that, but it is what it is. Like I said, we're going to have just a little bit of fun tonight. On the phone with me right now is Kyle Savino. Kyle, you there?
Yep, I'm here, Bob.
How you doing, young man?
I'm doing well. Thank you. Thank you for having me on.
Oh, it's my pleasure. Trust me. Kyle is with Brotherhood Baits, folks, and I don't know if you guys know much about Brotherhood Baits, but it's the type of situation where if I were looking for a bait, a lure, something of value, if you will, I think I would certainly look at their baits. No ifs, ands, or buts about it. Kyle, why don't you bring us up to speed? Tell us a little bit about you guys, how you got started, what you're all about, the lures you're making, and why don't you just take it over? It's yours.
Sure. Thank you. Well, Brotherhood Baits is comparative is kind of a newer company. We were started just a little bit over a year ago formally. It's myself and my partner Tony Spicker. If you've been around musky fishing at all, you might know of Tony's name. He previously had Big Game Baits, Big Game Tackle. So that was a big company he owned previously. And, we became friends because of this, the passion that we have, the sickness that we have. We became friends and then kind of just started to want to get into tinkering around with making some more baits. We both had some good ideas. And that really kind of came to a formality a little bit over a year ago. So Brotherhood Baits started about a year ago. And we had some ideas of some baits that we really wanted to come out with early, some baits that we like to fish. So we kind of started there. We have several baits in our lineup. We have a 4-inch spring crank, which I can talk about in a little bit. It's called the Spring Fling. We have what's been out of the box probably one of our most sought after and kind of hot bait, which is the Wake Up Call, which we have in several different sizes. And then we have Megaton, which is an 18-inch body through wire, but 22 inches with the lip crank. Everything that we make is handmade from cedar, and so very labor intensive. Both Tony and I have regular jobs, so we do this kind of as a passion. But everything is handmade, high quality components done with a lot of time and a lot of effort.
Do all of your baits have lips on them, Kyle?
All of our baits currently have lips on them, correct, yes.
So you've
We
got...
have plans.
Go ahead.
We have plans for future baits. We have plans for future baits to come out down the line. Some gliders and stuff that will be lipless, but right now everything does have a lip on it, yes.
Well, with that being said, why don't we do this real quick? I'm going to put up your web page. Why don't you give the folks an idea how to reach you via your web page, and then we're going to get into some of the lures themselves. People out there that are watching the show right now might want to be interested in getting in touch with you guys, and that's what it's all about. This is about bringing information forward to the viewer, and that's what we want to do.
Sure. BrotherhoodBaits.com is our webpage. You can access, you can buy direct from the webpage itself. You can message us through there as well. BrotherhoodBaits@gmail.com is our email, which you can reach us that way, and then also through our Facebook page. Most people contact us directly through our Facebook page. They private message us on our Facebook page. But any one of those ways is a way that you can contact us. But BrotherhoodBaits.com is our website, and kind of give you an idea of some of the baits that I just spoke to. We have some of our 2016 colors up there, which we'll be updating with our 2017 colors here shortly.
What I really find amazing when I'm looking at your stuff is the fact that the quality, the color that you're putting on them, the patterns you're putting on them are just exquisite. And there's a difference in baits today. I've been in this industry for a long, long time, and sometimes I'm going to say probably a good percentage of anglers are captured by the color on the bait itself, by the actual coating in the covering that you put on it. You guys put an absolutely beautiful finish on your lures.
Thank you. Yeah, that's something that we take a lot of pride in, our fit and finish. Tony and I definitely had a point of view when we started this company. It seems to be a trend nowadays to the fishermen to be really enamored with the paint and the finish. But sometimes the baits aren't proven, or the baits don't fish as well as they could. So we really we made a commitment to ourselves that we wanted to do both. We wanted to fusion a good working, a high quality bait, but also have a good fit and finish and good paint on it as well. So that was something that we took very seriously from the start, and making sure that we weren't just a good paint job or just good colors, but that we were that plus a high quality, well put together bait that catches fish.
Speaking of colors, I've gotten a little bit of trouble over the years because I'll have a tendency to get a fancy to a color and throw it way too much on the show and tackle retailers kind of yell at me because I don't throw enough of the line. And truth of the matter is most every one of these colors will catch fish. What's the most popular, the most productive color in you guys' line? Do you know?
Yeah, I would say the perch, the walleye, and the shad, are ones that guys have a tendency to gravitate towards. I think those get fished a little bit more. I can't tell you if those catch more fish than the other colors, but it seems like the fishermen are picking those colors a little bit more, and I think those get a little bit more time. That being said, the hotter colors definitely have their application, and there's some guys that all they want is the hot colors from us. I think it just depends on where they're fishing, the watercolor, the water clarity. But I think that the first statement that you made is I think once guys get a confidence in a color, whether that's justified or not, they've obviously had some success to warrant that confidence, and I think that's really the decision maker for a lot of fishermen is they have confidence in the bait, they have confidence in the color, and I think that's a whole part of a fisherman's success is if they feel better about what they're throwing, if they're feeling more confident about what they're throwing, it's going to be on their line longer. They're naturally going to have more success as a result.
I couldn't agree more. I just couldn't do it. I've thrown the blue and silver, for instance, in some of the lures that we've thrown over the years, and
Sure.
It's amazing what kind of confidence I have. I can have a really, really tough bite going. I know the fish aren't going to respond to me, but I'll pull that thing out of the box with absolute confidence that if I'm going to get bit, this one can do it. Let's talk a little bit about your 2016 Spring Fling collection, because we are in the spring period of the year. People are starting to really take advantage of what's going on out there. And it appears to me, well, it doesn't appear, it is a fact, that the 4-inch spring crankbait is a downsize. And that has value at certain times of the year, and we could be in it right now.
Absolutely, and this has been a very successful bait for us this spring as well. A lot of feedback, a lot of pictures, a lot of great response. I like this bait a lot. Obviously, we create it, so I have that feeling, but it's a very effective bait. Whether you straight retrieve it, you twitch it, or you're a troller, it's effective in all three of those methods. So that's one thing that I like about it. It's very versatile. We just did a trip out in Pennsylvania where we did some trolling with it, and while it doesn't troll at high speeds, that 3 to 3.8 range, it stays a little bit higher in the waller column, but still has a very nice thump to it. But also a nice little twitch bait, coming in kind of skinnier water, merging weeds, but also very effective with a straight crank. For a small bait, it's got a nice little thump to it as well. So whatever your pleasure is, or whatever the fish are telling you they want, it's kind of a nice tool, because you can do it a little bit of everything with it, especially early in the season here. It seems to be most effective, and thus that's why it's the Spring Fling. That's why we named it appropriately.
What are your lures made of? Are they a hardwood? What are they made of?
So they're all cedar. All the baits that we're talking about this evening are all cedar.
They're all cedar. So you've got a real hard shell covering on it, so teeth don't penetrate it very easily?
Yeah, no, that's one thing too. Very durable baits. Where we have several coats of epoxy on there, so that they stand up. When you're buying one of our baits, you're buying a high quality bait. You're going to get a lot of fish out of it. So that's something that we wanted to make sure that we were putting out there as well, as something that had some durability, and it's something that you were going to buy that was going to be in your box and a tool in your toolbox for years to come.
On the Spring Fling, it looks like it's got a pretty profound lip on it. Now, to me, as a lure designer and working with many brands over the years, that would tend to be a shallower running bait. So I could throw that thing up in the Denver, down in Cave Run, or down in Kincaid, down in Illinois, any of these places where I'm bouncing timber and stuff. That'd be a good lure for it, right?
Absolutely, yep. And got a nice little rise to it, not too fast, but definitely will get, if you hit the timber, you can kind of ease off of it and it'll walk its way back out. It's 30, and if you're a troller, 30 back is going to get you about 5 down. So she's not digging real deep, so she's going to come over nicely over emerging weeds or any structure that you're fishing. Obviously in the spring might be a little bit tighter, so it kind of gets you in the zone but keeps you out of a little bit of trouble. But if you do get there, they do come out kind of nicely.
That is very interesting. And that being said, you could throw this thing back in the hollers and gets a little twitching fish. We had a gentleman that fished with us forever. Now Duke's passed away, but Duke Island, those of us that traveled with us and spent good time on the water remember Duke very passionately. And Duke was a twitching person. In fact, on his business card it said Twitching King. And he would have absolutely fallen in love with this. And the reason I'm bringing this up is because people have a tendency sometimes early in the year to overwork their baits. And I'm certain that you, based on what I'm seeing here, I'm certain you'll be able to throw that bait in there and literally twitch it, pause, twitch it, pause, twitch it, pause, and emulate that injured or even that feeding bait fish at a smaller proportion back in those coves and hollows.
That's precisely, and that's probably one of the ways that I personally, as a fisherman, prefer to fish it. It fishes effectively in all the applications, but it just looks so good in the water. You get a little thump, that little twitch. It kind of will dart a little bit as well to the sides. You get a little bit of a walk out of her, and it's a very effective technique for that bait, that's for sure. You know, I definitely want to preface, if you're going to throw a smaller bait like this, making sure that you are downsizing your leader a little bit. You know, some guys don't necessarily match their terminal tackle to the bait that they're throwing, so just making sure that maybe newer fishermen out there or fishermen that maybe haven't thought about that is just making sure that we're using more of a spring type leader, you know, smaller components. No, you know, you're not using heavy barrels or heavy swivels, because that's going to overtake the bait, make the bait fish differently, and maybe take away some of that action that you want to have there. So that's just something to consider with that bait, is because it is a little bit of a finesse bait, a little bit smaller bait. You just want to make sure that you're matching your terminal tackle to the bait that you're throwing and what you're trying to get out of the bait effectively, action-wise.
Yeah, I think I'd be throwing some fluorocarbon with it myself. I'd probably pull a 8-inch, maybe 8 or 10-inch fluorocarbon in front of it. I mean, that's kind of where I'd go with it for sure. Yeah,
absolutely. And let that fluorocarbon work with you, you know, and give you some little action. Yep.
Absolutely. What are we putting on them for hooks? Hooks are important.
Yes, those are 2-aughts. They're Eagle Claw laser sharp.
Oh, yes.
So, again, another thing that we're very prideful in is making sure that we have high component split rings, high component hooks. You know, so we don't skimp on anything on any of our baits. That's something that we're very prideful in, from fit to finish to components on there. That being said, you know, something I would always encourage every fisherman to do is they're going to come out of the box or off the shelf laser sharp, making sure that you're properly sharpening all of the hooks from any bait, making sure that they're sticky sharp. Sometimes that can be the difference between a missed fish and a fish in the bottom of the bag. So although they're laser sharp coming out of the box, always good to make sure you're not assuming and getting a file to those as well.
I couldn't agree with you more, and you've already started with, in my opinion, the best hook you could put on there, and that's that Eagle Claw laser. I love that Talon hook. It's awesome. Let's take a second and take a look at your 7-inch wake-up call. Okay, now this has got a music track. It's got a music track with it, so we're just going to be quiet and let it run. But this is gonna, I thought this was interesting because it defined one of the things. We're moving on to the jerkbait now, more the jerkbait than the twitch bait. This is one of the things I think defines a really confident and quality bait in terms of a jerkbait, and that's being able to utilize it at the side of the boat in a figure 8. Let's just take just a second here and watch this piece you provided with us. It's pretty interesting. or if the music doesn't get you bit, the bait will. I am really fascinated with the way that lure comes in. Figure eighting to me is so critical in this game, very, very critical. Now, folks, we've moved up to the wake-up call lures and the longer versions. Talk to me a little bit about that, Kyle.
This is a bait that Tony and I knew when we first created it that was a special bait. But the reception that we've received from the attention that we've received, the inquiries we've received have been, been overwhelming. It just seems to, people have really identified with this bait. Obviously, it's a traditional jerk bait, dive and rise bait. I mean, it's obviously every fisherman's got this tool in their toolbox, but this is definitely a bait that's a little different than most. As you can see from the video and the action, the swimming action that the bait has, it's something that a lot of other baits don't do in this category. And the thing that we're most excited about is it is different. It is a different tool set. And most importantly is that exactly what you alluded to and you saw in the video is that once you're running out of water and you're going into that figure eight, the bait's no longer dead. You know, the bait is still an effective bait. It has its own swimming action, its own shimmy, so that keeps you in the game if you have a late fish, if you have a neutral fish, and you're still there, you still have a shot, and sometimes that can trigger the fish where historically with some, dive and rise and jerk baits, if you don't get it out from the boat, you're pretty much dead with it, or you got to get pretty lucky with it. So this is a bait that comes in a 7-inch. The video that you just currently saw was a 7-inch model. The tail was slightly bent in that video, which does give it more of a swimming action. If the tail is straight out, you're going to have more of that traditional dive and rise chop. It is a weighted bait. The 7-inch is about 3 3/4 ounces. That makes the bait a little bit easier to fish on the fisherman. You don't have to stay on it quite as much. So the bait really does a lot of the work. So from a fatigue factor, etc., it's a very kind bait, if you will, but a very effective bait, especially then highlighting that the figure eight and keeping you in the game there and converting some of those followers into eaters.
And that fatigue factor is a big deal, especially when you get up in age. You feel it a little bit more and more. Say, what's a casting distance, average casting distance from the boat? How much proficiency are we going to get in a cast?
Oh, I mean, it's a very castable bait. Again, it's a weighted bait, good components. Because it's a slightly heavier bait, you have a lot of control with it. You can pick your spots. You can bomb it if that's what you're choosing to do with it. It casts into the wind very well. I was just up north last weekend with it in the North Woods, fishing it into some very heavy winds up there. Performed well. I had to cast into the wind, didn't backlash. So it casts friendly. It's nice and easy in the water with a little bit of effort. You get a lot of action if that's what you're choosing. The more you bend the tail, the more swimming action that you're going to get out of the bait. You can even straight retrieve the bait. Guy troll
Can you get a wobble out of it?
Tony, beautiful wobble on it. He did some rip trolling with it up on Yellowknife, and the pike destroyed his 7-inch. So it has a lot of different applications. You choose what you want the bait to do by what you do with the tail. Little different than some traditional dive and rise. If you were bend the tail on more of the traditional dive and rise, you would go deeper and have more of a dramatic dive to it. Ours is a little different. You actually come up a little bit more shallow as you bend the tail because you get a little bit more swimming action out of it. So it's a little different in that way.
What kind of depth are we achieving? We're talking about being able to modify the tail on the lure, which is going to affect the attitude in the water. So let's go from where the tail lies straight, using it in the form of a jerkbait, until it's bent down. What kind of depth achievement are we going to get?
We're in that 6 to 7 foot range, so you're still getting down pretty good.
So
mid-cast, mid-retrieve, I should say.
Mid-retrieve, so 6, 7 feet. You are getting pretty deep, but you can also back that off yourself. So if you're working over coontail or cabbage or milfoil, you can really doctor that thing and address any kind of condition you have to deal with.
That is correct. And if you want to get a little less depth out of it, you start to create an angle on that tail, and that will rise the bait up. In addition to, obviously, you can adjust it with your pulls or what you want to do with it, or let it rise a little bit more. It does have a nice slow rise, a little bit of a wobble on the rise.
I like the
Let you start
wobble.
crack that tail a little bit, and it'll bring it up in the column for you.
I love the
You can
wobble.
dial it in. You can dial into what you want it to be.
I love that when they wobble coming up. Let's take a look. Let's take a look real quick at your 15-inch version. Now this video has no audio with it, so I'm going to kind of walk our way through it so we can describe what's going on for you. Oh, I love your image too. So again, we've got we're looking at a pool situation with a straight tail, and it looks to me like it's, oh, I don't know, kind of like a suic without a lot of action built into it. Is that correct?
Yeah, that you're going to get that kind of that straight glide slide. Now I'm the one working the bait in this video. I'm using a little bit of a shorter pull because it's a smaller pool, and I needed to do a little bit more with less water. Obviously, normally it's going to be a little bit more of a dramatic pull versus kind of the snap, but you get an idea of what the bait does. The next video coming in, you can start to see I'm bending the tail, and you can start to see now that the swimming action that is imparted on the bait when you do that.
Oh yeah, definitely difference. You can definitely see it. It's nice to be able to see it. You know, again, there's your boat side. I mean, that's what you're doing right now. I mean, that's where you expect that calamity to take place.
And then look at the action that's in that bait as you're figurating it. You're not losing anything from that. You're keeping that fish engaged. So that's a huge bonus to this bait versus maybe some others.
I fish with nothing but Jim Grant rods, and Jim makes an entire line of really good rods. And that said, he's got about every action available. What's the kind of action that the consumer needs to be looking for to pilot your larger baits?
Larger bait, everybody's a little bit different in how they want to work it, but obviously you're getting a heavy rod. I like a little bit of a faster action, just a little bit. But definitely it's a 15, 16 ounce bait. You don't necessarily need that when the bait's in the water, but to get her out there, you need to have some backbone to it. Give it a little bit of the catapult launch. Once she hits the water, though, it's a nice glide to it. It's not a lot of effort. You would think it would be with this big of a bait, this heavy of a bait. But once she hits the water, she's quite smooth in the water. Not a lot of effort.
You hit on a key thing, and that's you've got to be able to propel the bait. A lot of people, when they pick up a rod for anything, they're looking at it at a sports show or in a tackle shop. They really need to consider the bait they're throwing, because getting that lure out there is key. That's a very, very important thing you just mentioned. We've got a picture of a friend of mine, and definitely a friend of yours, Kevin Goldberg. Now, I'll tell you this, if Kevin's fishing this lure, I have little doubt in my mind that you guys are building a very good lure. Kevin is no slouch when it comes to the fish, and he loves those eastern fish in the United States. He really does. You also make another lure called the Megathon.
Yes, we do.
Do we want to take a look?
I don't believe we don't have that picture on the website, but I believe you have a video of that coming up, correct?
Yeah, let's take a look at the Megathon, because quite frankly, this is, folks, watch this. Who designed your logo?
I did, actually.
Nice. Nice.
Yeah. We worked with the graphic designer on it, but
this is a very beautiful bait, and this thing is how long?
the body is 18 inches, and with the lip it is 22 inches.
Oh, good Lord. Hey, you know, speaking of that, we're going to show, before we're done here tonight, we're going to show the biggest muskie that's ever been in my boat, and it was caught on a jerkbait. But it's interesting you say that, because prior to us actually catching this fish that we're going to show later, Kurt Fenton and I had fished around this area, and I was throwing a 21-inch crankbait called a Fooler, saltwater crankbait. And I had thrown it on this spot because I knew this big fish was there. But it's interesting you say the size of this lure. what people don't realize is a muskie's normal forage can be 1/3 of its total length of its body. So, I mean, let's face it, if you're looking at a 60-inch fish, you're looking at a very large offering, and that's 20 inches. So, I mean, there's nothing about 20-inch bait that doesn't apply to today's world. Nothing whatsoever. It is literally, it's game on for a lot of these big fish.
Yeah, absolutely. I think we predetermine what is large and medium and small or extra large, not the fish. So I agree 100%. You know, that's why I think that like the 15-inch wake-up calls, some guys wouldn't consider throwing that. It's just too large for them. But to the fish and the forage that they're eating, you know, that's small or normal or average size to them. So yeah, the 22-inch is a great bait. A lot of guys run them. Some guys hang them on the wall. I'll be honest. You know. In the man cave, but we have guys that run them, and just be careful that you're not putting them in a rod holder. You do have to hand troll these because they have been known to break all versions of rod holders. So just buyer beware in that regard.
All versions of rod holders are susceptible to total damage. Hey, listen, I've held you on here for a half hour. I hope I haven't bored you to death. I think there's been some good information that's been disseminated here tonight. Why don't you sum it up with what you want the world to know about Brotherhood's baits and possibly where they can get them. I know you said you could buy them direct in the retail. Some of the retailers may have them. I don't know. Tell our audience out there what you need or what they need to know to go get your baits.
Sure. I would say if you're looking for something a little bit different, you're looking for, you know, a little different spin on some baits that you love, dive and rise, etc. You know, check us out. Everything is hand done, high quality. We take our time. Sometimes at the chagrin of some of the people eagerly anticipating our baits, but we take a lot of pride and a lot of passion in what we do. We want to have stuff out there that's high quality. It's not just something that perhaps looks good. They catch fish, they're quality baits, they run right. So we definitely take a lot of pride in that. You can contact us direct. You can PM us. You can private message us on our Facebook page. You can email us. We're a little back ordered right now due to the demand, but we're working hard, and we want to fill every order and meet all of everybody's interest. We want these baits in people's hands and catching fish and having fun with them. So. You know, if you're looking for a little high quality bait, fish catching, something a little different spin on some traditional baits, you know, check us out.
Fire us a phone number so the crowd out there knows how to dial your number and get a hold of you.
You can contact me direct, 708-275-6947. Text me, give me a call. Otherwise, you can PM us on our Facebook page or email us as well.
Listen, I had a lot of fun with you on tonight. I hope you did as well. I'd like to have you back. I know you've got a lot going on. You've got a lot of pictures. You sent me pictures. We just don't have enough time to get them all up here. And I wanted to kind of tease Kevin Goldberg anyway. Kevin's kind of a nice guy. But listen, with that being said, stick on. Don't leave the show because we're going to show you the old style of jerkbaits. Probably one of the very first jerkbaits I ever put on the end of a rod was a Fidali reef hog. And there's a bit of a story behind this fish and what you're about to see, and I hope you stick with us. Kyle, I want to say thanks for coming on the show tonight. Enjoy you. Hope the Fish and Sticks fans out there enjoy you, and I hope they chime in and send a little bit of greetings your way, maybe some questions after the show is over. But with that being said, thank you very much.
Thanks for your time, Bob. Had a great time.
Oh, it's been my pleasure for sure. No ifs, ands, or buts about it. So with that being said, hey folks, let's bring this thing up to speed and give you a little bit of where we like to catch big fish. Bring her back. Oh, hold tight, hold tight.
Hi everyone, Bob Mehsikomer here. You know, I've got a place, a very, very special place in my heart. It's Osborne Bay.
It's been excellent. Randy did a great job, the guiding service.
Randy started taking us out when I was 10, and we've been catching big muskies ever
The
since.
accommodations here are fantastic.
Check out Century Lodge on Osborne Bay.
Come on, bring her back.
Hi everyone, Bob Mehsikomer here for Grant Rods. You know, musky fishing's a tough deal, and the job's not done till she's in the bag. Well, how do you do that? It's pretty simple. You need big dog rods from Grant Rods. For your next rod, call them at 847-577-0848. Building custom rods since 1983.
Hey everybody, you know, the people that you're seeing that sponsor our show in these commercial blocks, they are the people that are making this possible. Don't overlook the fact that they're here. Jim Grant makes an incredible series of rods. Maybe you folks can take a couple of minutes, give Jim a call, order up your rods. Maybe you got Father's Day coming. Maybe you want to get a rod for a loved one or a father, or maybe even a stepfather. Just get them something that's really, really sweet. I know Jim was running a special the other day on Father's Day stuff, so take a look at that. Let's just talk for a second about Witch Bay and some of the big fish we've caught at Witch Bay. They're located up on Lake of the Woods. I plan to get Steve and Gail on the show coming up here in the near future. They're awesome people, and let's not overlook Randy and Chris. I mean, Randy and Rich and Kay and Holly, everybody up at Century Lodge. Again, phenomenal fishery. We did a smallmouth piece last week. You guys got a chance to see it. Later on in the season, we're going to do some musky stuff, so you get a chance to see some of the big fish that are up there. It's incredibly important. I took my wife on a trip up to Athabasca to Cliff and Stella's place, and to be perfectly honest with you, I'm going to have a young lady coming on the show here in the very near future. And in the night that we do that, I'm also going to bring on at the same time the video footage of my wife and I as she got a chance to challenge the northern pike up at Athabasca, Cliff Blackmore's place. It's amazing. It's an absolutely amazing deal. And tonight I happen to have a conversation with a gentleman. I got a lure. I'll show you this doggone thing. This is where we're going next week, folks, right here. Going to have a chance to have Tony Young on, and Tony is the maker of this. They're with the AZ Muskie guys. I'll get everything in line for you, including the proper name of their deal, but the truth of the matter is we're going to have him on next week. We're going to devote the entire half hour or thereabouts to him. And he is a good friend of Brett Alexander, and Brett Alexander, who is a guide up on the Midnight Sun up in Alaska, sent me that lure as a gift, and I'm very impressed. And I learned today how it all happened. And Brett, it's amazing. With that being said, I told you that we were going to have a little surprise for you. I want to tell you a little bit about what's going on here. I'm going to show you a video clip. Jerk baits are an important part of my life. I've been throwing wood forever. And back in probably the very late 80s, we did a show called Muskies in the Shield A to Z, a videotape, and we're going to break that thing down as we go through this year. But it amazed me because we were talking about the jerk baits that we used in those days, the bobby baits, the suics, the reef hogs, and they caught a lot of big fish, no ifs, ands, buts about it. And they're a different type of bait, really different. But I had the opportunity to fish a lake with a very good friend of mine, Kurt Fenton. And when he was in the boat with me on this trip, I had my world record catch and release of 56.5 inches. And I knew that we could put Kurt on a really, really big fish. And we fished this place called Moby's Hump, or Moby's Rock as we called it. And Kurt asked me one day, he says, "Why do you call it Moby's Rock?" I says, "Kurt, if you see the girl that lives here, it will blow your mind." And like I said earlier in the show, I was throwing a 21-inch fooler all the way around this thing. It's super hot, meaning the sky was bright. It wasn't necessarily heated up, but it was super bright. The water temps were actually pretty cold. But I'm lathered trying to run this 21-inch fooler all the way around this big reef. And the night before, or 2 nights before, Kurt had asked me about, "Hey, do me a favor, paint me up a lure that I can catch a fish on." And I had been just absolutely traumatizing the muskies on what we called a Neapolitan reef hog on Lake of the Woods on a houseboat trip just earlier than that. And the Neapolitan to me was simply a black, an orange, and a green combination in literally vertical stripes all the way down the lure. You couldn't have sold that thing off of a retail shelf if your life depended on it. But because of the contrast that was in that bait, I had huge confidence that no matter what kind of daylight I was throwing it in, under any kind of conditions I was throwing it, the fish could see it. And I just had this absolute perfect opportunity to take Kurt Fenton after painting his favorite reef hog. Now, keep in mind, his favorite reef hog. How many of us are out there that are willing to take our favorite bait and have somebody put different color on it? Kurt was sold on it. He wanted to do it. And let's just take, if you will, let's just take just a couple of seconds, and I want to show you what happened when Kurt Fenton and I had a chance to enjoy this situation. Fouled hooks. Nice
August
reef right out there, 1982, folks.
Yep, see a cabbage.
I actually
up there.
had dark
That's the
hair.
gold mine. Deep water around here.
The back side is about 45 feet, and this side is about 5 right now where we are, but we know behind us is another 40 feet.
Look at those boulders up there.
Well, we talked about this spot last night, you know, when we found it,
Yeah.
and we called it Moby's Rock, because this has got all the makings of a super spot. That timber there is nothing more than an aesthetic value, because there's not enough of it in the water to do any good. But there's cabbage up on the other side of the bald rock, and that can do some good. What can happen is these fish will come up on this thing in the morning, and before the sun gets too high, you know, like now about 8:30, before the sun gets too high, they'll use this whole weed bed up here for a food shelf, and they'll just lay there and wait. This water temperature is 63, 64 degrees, so it's been cool. They'll even take on some of that warming water, I think.
They can slip down that deep water easy too.
Real quick. As soon as the light gets intolerable, they're gone.
Yeah, wind here yesterday. It was really windy. It was just pounding in here.
Yeah, but this is probably as good a spot as you're going to find right now. Just kind of surprised we didn't get something off that first rock right there. But they might not have, you know, be paying any attention to the bald rock.
Yeah. Maybe when they catch the other side, the deep side, we can
in this bright sun.
check that out.
I'm going to keep us out. I'll turn us here so we can make casts up into the center of it without disturbing it with the boat. Because my lure's coming over the reef right now. You can see it?
Yep.
And then there's another rock between the reef and us. And what people don't realize is when you look at the shoreline of a lake and you see these rocks, these huge rock formations, they got major cracks in them. Well, these rocks down below the water have got exactly the same kind of cracks. Big, huge cracks in them. Those fish will lay right in it if they're not in the cabbage up in there. We get a little further out, we'll probably, cabbage will get a little thinner as it tapers out that tip.
Oh, there's a rock.
Don't scare me like that, man. There's big fish on here. You bumped a rock though, huh?
Just bumped her, yeah.
Yeah, we better stay out. We'll make a little bit longer casts. We'll stay out on this. Let's work our way right in here. This cabbage is the ticket. No doubt about it. Plenty of cover. This bright sun, they can crawl up underneath a little bit of cabbage. You know, it's funny, I've been in areas where I've seen muskies in the cabbage. All they cover is their head. Their whole body sticks out, but they cover their head.
Yeah, they can just lay in there all day.
Yeah?
But I think you're right what you said. When the lake's laying flat like this, those fish will slip off into deeper water.
Yep, as at, you know, about noon or so,
Yeah.
these areas will probably be less productive. Who knows, there might not even be anything here now. But it looks good, and that's the key. If you have confidence in an area, you want to fish it. Spend some time in it and fish it.
This cabbage is so prime right now, especially when it's unusual being this late in the year. Just as crisp and green. hit the backside of those weeds over there.
Yeah, cover that backside good. Because there's a void between the tree line and the rock right there.
Kurt Fenton, or the Iron Man as we call him after this event, had the day of his life while fishing with me back in 1991. The location of choice was a large submerged reef with a small amount of visible timber and thick vegetation, including coontail and cabbage. However, the element that makes this so viable were the boulders you can't see. Even in cooler periods when the sun is out and the surface is calm, these boulder rock areas will collect the warmth of the sun and transmit it into the muskie's environment. Added to the presence of the boulders were huge cracks within the boulders themselves. Plenty of areas for the muskies to hide in and relate to in general. Although many think it's necessary to have deep water surrounding a structure such as this, it is not imperative.
I don't know.
I think you got a big fish. I saw the back tail section of it.
Did you?
Yeah, you got a big fish. Let it go wherever it needs to go.
Heading for deep water, huh?
Yeah. You got a big fish here.
She's just staying down. I didn't even got to look at her really yet, Bobby.
I did when she ate it.
Did you? Oh yeah, she's a big, nice fish.
Oh.
Nice fish. She's just barely hooked, Bobby.
Barely hooked?
The back treble. She's right underneath the boat now, Bobby.
Just hang tight to her.
Okay, I got a loose drag on her.
We over 50?
Oh yeah, I think she's over 50. Just barely hooked. Don't hit it for that motor, baby.
Come, oh, you got a big fish here.
Just a back treble, barely.
You can lift
Should
your
I
head
try?
up.
Okay, so. Oh, no, wait, Bobby. Can you get her? Good
54
job.
inches, son.
All right. Whoa, whoa. All right, hooks are out of her. Good deal.
Okay. Okay, hold on a minute now. Just hang to her. I'm going to get the hooks out of there.
Okay, should I cut the line? All right.
You got a big fish, guy.
That's what we've been looking for,
This
huh?
is a big, big fish. No ifs, ands, or buts about it. Okay. And she's going to try to dot around, okay?
Should I cut those hooks out of the net? There's so much power there. Unbelievable. That's so big.
Okay, hang on a minute.
Okay.
Just hold the net. Just hold the net right there. Let's see if we can lay her down.
Okay. There you go. Yeah, get a good hold. You can't get your hands around her.
No, she's so huge.
There you go. Get that net out of here.
Need to get her back real quick. Guess what?
What?
You're about ready to put back a 57.5-inch fish. Okay. Okay.
Hold up, Bobby.
I'm going her back, okay?
Yep, only get one shot of you holding her up. Okay. Put her back. Put her back.
Hold on, baby.
your release shots here. 57.5. Kurt, is that your biggest fish?
Biggest fish I've ever seen. Oh. Can you raise her up a little, Bob?
Yeah, let me try. She's so long, you can't.
Yeah, she's so long.
It's like the days of handling my 56, you know?
How about a headshot? A little higher.
Magnificent fish. Absolutely. This is why this is so important to put these fish back, Kurt. Look at that. 57.5 inches. Kurt!
Beautiful. All right.
Oh my goodness. She's not going to go away hard. We know that. We've had enough big fish in our presence. Oh. Oh, look at her just sit there. Yeah, she's fine.
Come on, baby.
She's fine. Oh, yes. Not bad, Kurt. Not bad. She's not going to go away hard. I'm just going to let her go.
Gills are working fine.
Yeah, that's the way my 56 did, too.
Yeah.
She just kind of
She'll lay there for a little while and she'll swim away. Good job, Bobby.
Absolutely mammoth fish.
All right.
You know, we put the 56 in the boat in 88, I think it was. And now we're sitting here with a 57.5 from Kurt Fenton. Not bad, big guy.
Good job. Felt good.
Not bad. Oh, this is unbelievable.
Yeah, she'll be just fine. Look at her gills work, huh?
Yeah, she's fine. Yeah.
Pumping that water.
Oh.
Man, when she hit, she just kind of tapped it.
Yeah.
You really didn't know what you had.
I saw the back end of her when she did it.
You called her right.
I saw the back end. I told you we're going to run over here and we're going to do it off of...
What's that, Moby's Rock?
Moby's Rock, we call this place. Absolutely beautiful fish. Look at her right there. Now, you don't hand grab fish this big. I don't care
no
how
way.
you would, you know. Is that the most beautiful sight in water, isn't it? Look at that thing. Absolutely gorgeous fish. That is what it's all about right there.
Those fish are definitely on the prowl now, you know?
Yeah.
The last couple of days have been tough, but...
Yeah, okay.
Get a headshot?
I'm gonna try.
Try her once.
She's gonna go away though. She's got all kinds of energy stored up now.
She goes. Bye, baby.
That's it. That's what we wanted to see.
All right. Swim, Mama.
That's what we wanted to see right there. 57.5 inches going back.
Hey, before everybody goes ballistic on me, Kurt didn't want to handle the fish. In the early periods like this, in the late 80s, early 90s, these big fish just didn't exist. You didn't catch these kind of fish. Today they're more common, but when we were catching these big fish back in that day, they were rare, extremely rare. And Kurt was so conscientious about the program and what happens when something goes wrong handling a fish in the boat. And he opted before we ever started that if we get something really large, he wanted me to handle the fish. So that being said, Kurt's a sportsman and he's an ultimate friend of mine. I couldn't have been happier to have somebody in the boat like Kurt Fenton to catch a 57.5. That's so cool. That said, folks, in my boat, if it comes in the boat, it was caught on a lure. Every lure has a consequence. Every time you choose a lure has a consequence. The structures you choose to throw it on have a consequence. As we go forward in Fishing Sticks, I hope that we can teach you more of what to look for in terms of elements so those consequences become pleasurable ones. It's my pleasure to bring you Fishing Sticks every week. And that being said, I'm going to take it upon myself, if you would, bear with me, because these are the people who make this show possible. And that being said, follow us on Facebook, chime in, get a hold of your friends. If you would, network us, help us grow this program, because that's how we're going to stay up doing it. We're doing this thing in a free manner so nobody has to pay to watch what's going on. The sponsors are the ones that are covering the toll to make it all happen. We're looking for more sponsors. If you're out there, you like what we're doing, you want to see us grow, get a hold of me, bob.m@FishnStixTV, FishnStixTV. Get a hold of me and I'll explain to you what we can do. In the meantime, these are the people who are letting it happen right now, the people that we so admire in this game. They are our sponsors.
On your left, you can almost see it. One of the most magnificent sights on the planet, Lake Athabasca nestled just below the 60th parallel. Lake Athabasca hasn't changed in nearly 1,000 years with its pristine shorelines, pure crystal clear water you can actually drink, and countless fish. Boy, has she got fish. That is for everyone willing to travel to Otherside River Lodge. From the magnificent world-class northern pike that prowl these waters to the oldest and biggest lakers on the globe, Athabasca has it all. Otherside River Lodge caters to the true sportsman seeking an all-American plan guided package with 3 incredible meals a day and memories you won't find anywhere else. Records have been broken by guests at Otherside River Lodge in the past. You could be next. Book your dream trip of a lifetime to Otherside River Lodge, where fishing dreams do come true. Call Cliff or Stella toll-free at 1-877-922-0957.
Hi everyone, Bob Mehsikomer here for Grant Rods. You know, musky fishing's a tough deal, and the job's not done till she's in the bag. Well, how do you do that? It's pretty simple. You need big dog rods from Grant Rods. For your next rod, call them at 847-577-0848. Building custom rods since 1983.
Oh, look at that. Oh, big fish.
Big fish! This side over here?
That is a 50 fish. Folks, you're seeing it right now. My 100th just came in the net at Witch Bay Camp. Holy smokes, Rocky. She ate that thing.
The summer sun never sets upon the Alaskan pike of the Unwrap, in the heart of breathtaking Alaska. Evenings will be shared reliving the battles of monster pike. The Midnight Sun Trophy Pike Hunt is on, aboard the 67-foot luxury houseboat, and you're in command. If you're not, you should be. Contact the Midnight Sun Trophy Pike Adventures by calling 800-440-7453 or email them at mstpa50@gmail.com.
Bring her back. Oh, just a minute. Hold tight. Hi everyone, Bob Mehsikomer here. You know, I've got a place, a very, very special place in my heart. It's Osborne Bay.
Food's been excellent. Randy did a great job guiding service.
Randy started taking us out when I was 10, and we've been catching big muskies ever
The
since.
accommodations here are fantastic.
Check out Century Lodge on Osborne Bay. Come on, bring her back.
Give those guys a shout, folks. They're the ones that are making it possible. I'm Bob Mehsikomer. I want to say thanks for letting us intrude on your Wednesday evening, and I hope you enjoyed what we do. We sure enjoy bringing it to you. It's always been my pleasure to bring people fishing. It's always been my pleasure to try to elevate people, teach people. If you're in the industry, if you're a guide, if you're a manufacturer, if you're a tackle retailer, if you're anybody out there that can bring value to that angler, get a hold of us, because we want to see you on Fishin' Sticks. With that being said, God bless, and we'll see everybody next week, Wednesday night, 7:30, as we meet Todd Young, and we're going to do some fat A to Z muskies, folks. We'll see you next week.